nothing. It's time. You got this?
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
G'day everyone, welcome to, what are we up to now, mate? Episode 2 of Series 3. Welcome world champion, triple Paralympian, 1 Commonwealth Games, 2 times book author, dad of 4, Mr. Donny Elgin.
Mate, I'll tell you, you know what I really love, JT, apart from being back here with you to do this all again, before we'd said a word, we had listeners into us to remind us to push record. I love that about our listeners.
Yes. Thanks, Miranda. I'm good to know. I actually hit it before we even started tonight. I hit record, but although as always happens, literally as we went live, I got a little error message on my computer saying you're out of disk space. So we're not recording the video. But anyway, that's okay. It's these things happen, and all goes to the cloud, so we'll be fine. And a special hello to Ev, who's listening. He normally listens to Thailand, but he's doing his quarantine at the moment in Sydney. So he's got his 14 days in Sydney. So g'day, Ev, and thanks for tuning in. Well, we might get some goss on inside inside the lockup life from Ev maybe on next week's show. We might do a live cross to Sydney, eh?
Oh, that could be good, yeah. Yes, sirree.
Now, apologies for being a little bit later than we normally are tonight. Donny's been on the road. He's been up in Sydney, just keeping it real and doing his day job. And he's had to race back to Melbourne to do a corporate gig tomorrow. It's a school, I should say, not a corporate gig tomorrow.
And JT, I tell you what, today was the first time I'd been like, oh shit moment, because right we were about to hop off the plane, the hosty man said. Quarantine are waiting out the front, not quarantine, inspectors, and they'll be checking your permits and your ID. And of course, I've gone,
oh,
shit,
permit.
My battery's nearly out, so I had to do the quick apply for a permit. But anyway, we got it. We flashed the ID. It was all good. They let me back into the state, so that's a lovely thing. But it's nice that they're at the airport and doing these checks, because otherwise, what's the point?
No, very, very true. I've got to head over to Adelaide in a couple of weeks for some work, so I might have to get a few tips off you, mate, on what I need to do. It's bloody confusing though, isn't it? Like honestly, it's just so confusing at the moment. And then obviously we got what happened in Perth a few days ago when they get one case and they just go, that's it, bang, 4 hours notice and borders closed. I mean, that's the scary part about travelling, I think, at the moment, isn't it? That sort of stuff can happen.
Yeah, and it's even crazy. Like on this flight, I had 2 up and back to Sydney. We did a launch for my day job, which was fantastic, a new partnership there. And the real challenge is that I'm getting text messages saying your flight's been cancelled. We're trying to get you on another flight, and it's just like, that's just the reality of traveling. So I think that's what I love about travel, is that it teaches you, and it's a first-hand opportunity to be reminded that you just need to relax. Sometimes shit doesn't always go to plan.
No, man, it's very, very true. Typically, like our show, never goes to plan. So now we've got a sort of a condensed format tonight. We decided we're going to have a bit more of a chit-chat about a few things, but we've still got some of the favourite segments along because we like having a bit of a laugh. So,
JT, let's be clear. The listeners said, you blokes, we actually value your opinion on shit, so give it to us. And so I like that. I mean, they might regret that. We might be putting off there somehow for next week, but that's what we've got to get for this week, is our opinion on a few more things. And of course, You've always got some weird, wacky, and wonderful stuff. But you know what? One of our favourite topics, JT, is in the news this week, racism. So we'll absolutely dive into that.
Well, we are going.
Like that didn't cause us any issues at all last time we spoke around.
Be interesting to see how much we've learnt from our prior experience
grown,
on when
JT, we've grown.
We'll soon find out. Now, of course, one of our favourite segments is always the weird, wacky, and wonderful. So we've got a few funny things that we managed to find from around the world.
Weird, wonderful, and wacky.
Now, Don, I don't know about you, but look, I'm not scared of a lot of animals or reptiles, but when it comes to snakes, not a big fan of the old snakes, got to say. Now, I don't know about you, Don, but I always thought, look, snakes are great on the ground. That's where they belong. Every now and then you see those water snakes. We don't like those ones either. But you sort of
go quick too.
Yeah, they do. But you sort of think, hey, if I'm up, I'm up a pole or somewhere, I'm going to be pretty safe, right? No snake can climb a pole. Well,
okay. Yep. If it's got bloody laced with oil or something, maybe. But
no. Well, there was a study being done over in the University of Cincinnati, and they made let's just say a rather scary observation about a brown snake, because they had these forest birds that were being threatened by an invasive snake. This was over in Guam. And so what they did is they thought, what we're going to do is put these nesting boxes and stuff for the birds, put them at the top of the poles, because snakes can't climb up poles. So
fair enough.
We're all good to go. Well, that was until this video footage emerged on. This has been sped up a little bit at 5 times normal speed. What you're seeing there, if you're not actually seeing the footage, is the snake is actually lassoing its own body around the pole, and it's using it to propel itself up the pole. So they worked.
Now, JT.
So they worked it out.
What needs to happen is that is clearly the smartest of the species. It needs to be murdered straight away. Otherwise, all the other bloody spiders and snakes and shit go, look what Sambo's doing on that pole. We can do that too. Just kill it straight up and teach every other one a lesson. Don't try that shit. Otherwise, we're not even climbing up a pole's going to be safe.
Oh, that's bloody scary, isn't it? Now, the next topic I want to talk about is hot chilies, because we had the chili challenge, Billy's chilies.
Oh,
yeah,
Billy's
chilies.
Of course.
Well,
you're a fan of those when they're hawks get up.
Now, chilies have gone up a little notch, but before we do that, I love when we have our regular viewers know more about our show than we do, because Dale has rightly pointed out.
No, what have we done already?
He says, what's your special word of the day? He's all over it. So if you've never listened to our show before, what we do is we give away a code word at the start of the show. And when we say that code word, you just need to type that code word into the comments. And everyone who types that word into the comments goes into the draw to win a $100 tradie voucher, which we draw live at the end of the show. So, Donnie, what is the special word for the day?
Hey, JT, and just on that, if you're listening on YouTube or Spotify or something else, like what day is this? This is Tuesday. If you're listening on Wednesday or Thursday, don't worry about typing that word in. Okay?
Yeah, you've missed the boat.
We've done that bit.
It's a live draw.
That's right, mate. And anyway, get on next week, come and watch us and be a part of it. But the word this week, JT, is locket. Okay, so if you hear me say locket, it's got a very special connotation today, locket. So that is our special word today.
Fantastic. All right, locket it is, and looking forward to hearing that. And Bryony's pointed out that yes, us speaking on racism, not snakes, could be very, very interesting. So bear with us. Now back to our chilies, Donnie. So we had Billy's chilies earlier in the day, but I don't know if you've heard about do you know what the hottest chili in the world is? Have you ever heard of it?
Oh no, it's probably close to Billy's, but no, I don't think it's called Billy's chili.
No, it's not Billy's. It's the Carolina Reaper. It's called.
Carolina Reaper.
Yeah, and it is about 200 times hotter than the regular jalapeno. So on the Scoville heat units, it's anywhere from about 1.6 million to 2 million Scoville heat units. It's ridiculously hot. Been described as like eating
200 times
hotter than a jalapeno. Yep, correct. Correct.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so it's hot. Now, the world record was just broken in the last couple of days. So we had someone that, I'm just going to remember his name. I'm trying to find it in front of me. Ed, no, I don't know who his bloody name is. Anyway, this guy, Mike Jack, there he is. Mike Jack broke the record. He ate 3 in 9.72 seconds. Now, you have to eat as in crunch, swallow, 3 of them in 9.72 seconds. Now, it's fair to say, though, that while he may have broken the record and got them down the hatch, things go a little bit ordinary after they're down the hatch. Now, I don't have footage of that, Donnie, but I do want to share.
Oh, thank God. I did think you were going to show us what happened.
Well, I do have some footage, though, that I want to share. This is not the guy that broke the world record. This is just another guy who decided that he was going to have a crack at the Carolina Reaper. And I'm not going to play it all because it goes on for quite a while, but I think you'll get a pretty good feel for this after about 30 seconds, 60 seconds. So here we go.
Right, let's have a look.
Vamos a pedir más, otro diecito o algo.
Oh, you got to chew it up and then chug it back with a drink.
No.
You got to do it. You got to do it. Here's a soda.
You're gonna mess yourself up.
Here's a soda. You just got to crunch it.
You got but wash it down with some soda.
You got to wash it down.
Wash it down with some
Wash it
soda.
down. Get that soda.
There's your soda right there. George, ¿estás bien? George, no excuse me, bro. George, ¿estás bien?
Now, Donnie, that keeps going for literally about another 10 minutes. I'm not sure what's more disturbing, the fact that seeing how he's reacting or the fact that he's nearly dying, his mates are just laughing non-stop at the poor bugger.
I must admit, JT, I've made some home brew, and your mum, my neighbour, has had a crack at it. And similar sort of result, but that guy there looks like he's taken the cake, mate. And that's what quality of good mates. They egg you on to do shit, and then they just
hang you out to dry, right?
Yeah.
Poor bugger. So now one of the other things we noticed, I didn't actually have any footage of this, but Australia Zoo, I don't know if you've ever been to Australia Zoo, the Sydney one, and beautiful setting, you got the Opera House and the bridge in the background and stuff. It's stunning if you ever go and get the Manly Ferry across. It's beautiful. And so they have lots of half-decent enclosures over there, but a few days ago, one of the chimpanzees decided that he'd had enough of his enclosure and he was out, gone.
Oh.
Did a runner.
How'd he get out? Surely they're bloody onto that by now.
Wow. There's
The right size cage and stuff.
Yeah. There's an investigation underway, Don, as to how it actually happened. But the good news is chimpanzee got out and he was spotted by one of the cleaners and he just thought, stuff it, I'm going back in. So he just went in all by himself.
Oh, that's it. That's the story.
That's the story. No, it wasn't really that exciting.
Oh,
but you'd think, though,
they're going to bloody come at him with helicopters and blow darts and chase him around the Opera House and tourist stunt. That's what I was thinking for a minute.
You'd think so. I mean, if you're an animal, you're probably plotting your escape, I would have thought, every day, going, how the hell am I out of this bloody hellhole? Then you get out of the hellhole and then you're like, you know what, bugger it, going back in.
No one's feeding me out.
It's not quite what I expected. Now, anyway, our next story, Don, is I want to talk to you about library books because you strike me as a man who probably would have borrowed a lot of books in your time.
I did. Yep, I did. Yeah, I didn't read too many of them, but I borrowed a shitload because it was compulsory to borrow each week.
Ever been guilty of, sometimes you just kind of forget to take things back to the library every now and then? Have you got a few books lying around that never quite made their way back?
Oh, every now and then, like Chubb or Sarge or one of them would, like the siblings, they would write my name in it and try and frame me, so we'd probably just not take those ones back. But apart from, I would often take them back, JT, just before they were overdue. What have you found, JT? I love when you go at me like this because it means you've come across something.
I just thought this one takes the cake. And there's a guy in, I think it was over in New York, and they had a biography of Theodore Roosevelt.
That'd
And it just got returned, which I thought is good news. But this would probably take the cake in terms of the overdue date.
What's it, JT?
It was 72 years late.
Oh dear, that's yeah. Well, probably librarian's dead, so he's not chasing the borrower. Like, tell us the story, JT. How did this even get?
Well, this is the book here. Well, it was a guy who actually found it just going through some books he found in the basement, and he's not quite sure how it actually got there. But anyway, he found it and he realised that it was a library book, so he thought he'd do the right thing and take it back. And there you go. 72 years later, they got their book back.
Yeah, Ev, you're spot on. Imagine overdue fees. Like if it was bloody Blockbuster Video or something.
Oof.
Oh, geez, that's probably what put him out. So was the library even still there, JT?
Yeah, library's still there. So it was the New York Library, so it's probably been around forever and a day. So they were happy to take it back on the shelf. Away you go.
Oh, but I wonder if they then just like that's a whole market. See, this is what I question everything, JT. Was it really there, or was it a marketing campaign to give a bit of cred to the library? And next year they'll be doing some redevelopments. Now there's a lot more sponsors looking at.
Well, you could be onto something, and maybe they're just trying to reinvigorate the discussion about libraries, and we've just fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Well, that's all the good books, JT, are in libraries. So One Foot on the Podium, that was a great book in its day.
I haven't seen yours in the library. Don, are they in the library?
I keep putting them in there, yeah. The librarians keep taking them out. But actually, JT, I had to do a reprint, mate. I got a massive order the other day for a school, which was bloody great. Best principal on the planet, if you don't mind, has just bought all his teachers a copy of my book. So that was awesome, except I was sort of nearing sort of the end of the last reprint, so I didn't worry about it. So that sort of fast-tracked the fact that I needed a whole new reprint. So I've been flat out organising that, and we're good to go.
Fantastic. Yes, well, if anyone wants a copy of Don's book, you can get it on the website at donelgin.com.au.
Look at you go, mate. You'll be managing me soon if you keep that up.
Mate, I can only aspire to these big things. Now, Donnie, have you ever Jenga? Have you ever had a crack at Jenga?
Oh, yeah. Me and the boy play that, and the kids and yes, I'm a bit crap, actually. The little fat, short, stubby fingers aren't like Jenga. A bit of nail action, something, a bit of tap, tap, tap. But, yeah, go all right. But, I wouldn't say I'm any games record holder.
No, well, there is a I love Dale's just giving you a bit of a serve for getting your crap connection sorted. So Donnie is coming at us from Keilor, so it is dropping out on the video every now and then. So I'm trying to cover it as best I can. But as long as the audio keeps working, we're good, I reckon. So
next door are watching porn and they're taking all the bloody broadband off. Sorry.
Just bang on the door, mate. Bang on the door. So yeah, walked straight into that, didn't I? Now with Jenga, there was a world record broken during the week by a 12-year-old, a little bloody upstart 12-year-old's broken the world record. And he has stacked 693 Jenga blocks. But
wait, how many in a pack?
Well, I don't know. But what's really impressive about the 693 Jenga blocks was they were all stacked upon one.
What?
They were all stacked on one single vertical standing Jenga block. Now, I know you're going, what the hell does that mean? I've got a picture for it, of course.
What, end on end?
Have a look at this. So you can see that image there on the right on a single block.
The one down the bottom.
That's
and then
right.
He stacked it.
Yep.
You know what? Get to school, you little turd. You're just showing off. Like, bloody hell, that's just an ad for Jenga. Good on him. We like kids with talent. Mate, you keep that up, you'll be, I don't know what you'll be doing later in life. I don't know, you've got a Rubik's Cube champion or something. That's, I'm going to have a JT, but I only own one pack. I'm not going to go and buy bloody. How many packs is there, you reckon?
I have no idea how many you get in a packet, right? But it's a pretty fair effort. So to Eldon Maxwell, who's 12, congratulations, breaking a world Guinness Book of Records, mate. I'm sure a lot of hours went into trying to achieve that. So good job. We like that.
I reckon we should give him a prize, JT. Let's give him one of them chillies.
we'll
See what he's stuck in there.
We'll send one over. So that's it for our weird, wacky, and wonderful segment. I'm going to try and attempt something which is going to be difficult, got to say, for our Geek of the Week section.
Geek of the Week.
Now, there was a lot of news. If you've sort of been in Sleepy Hollows, you would have heard something going on about Gamestop. Did you hear anything about Gamestop during the week, Donnie? It's been making a lot of news around the world because it's sent a lot of people very broke, and a lot of people made a bit of money out of it. So,
well, I wasn't broke, so that's me happy about this story so far. So good. Let's go on. What is a GameStop?
I'm going to try and explain it. So GameStop is a little bit like EB Games, I guess, that we have over here. It's the biggest game retailer in America. And where it gets really interesting is it involves something called shorting. And to try and explain shorting is not easy, so I've had to borrow a bit of a couple of explanations and merge them all together. But basically what it is...
JT, just before you give us your explanation, this has got nothing to do with midgets at the Paralympics, is shorting.
No, correct. Yeah, it's a midget-free story, sure, promise.
Okay, go on.
So basically what it is, there's all these really expensive hedge funds, right, over in the US that, it's basically the billionaires plaything, right? They've got all these hedge funds. And so what they do is they effectively guess a company's share price will drop and they place money on it. So I'm going to put that in a real world example, Don, so this makes sense. So let's pretend that instead of a share, it's a new jacket. So if I borrowed $100, a jacket worth $100 from you, I then go to the local shop and I say, hey, I got this amazing jacket. I want to sell it to you for $100. And they go, great, thanks, done. So they give me the $100 for the jacket. They've got the jacket.
My jacket.
Yep, your jacket. They've got your jacket.
The one I just loaned you, you've just sold my jacket.
I have, yep. Good mate, I know. So I've just sold it to the shop. But what I'm doing, Don, is I'm predicting that no one's going to want your shitty little jacket. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to go back a few weeks later and I'm going to go back to the same shop and they've realised, oh, bloody hell, no one wants this jacket. So what do? They drop the price of the jacket. So I go, oh, it's now $50. So I go, you beauty. I go in there and I buy it from $50.
That is a bargain.
I've made
a real bargain.
I've made a profit of $50. The difference between what I sold the jacket for and the cost of replacing it. So I give you your jacket back and I've just made my $50. And that's what is called shorting. Right, so everyone kind of wins in that sort of a model, but it's a bloody risky business because if the jacket becomes more popular, the price could have gone up.
Which is likely to happen with my
Well,
jacket.
it's one of your jackets, that's right. So all of a sudden people go, this is bloody Donnie Elgin's had this jacket. So no longer is it $100, it's $150. Yes. And then I'm in trouble because I go, this isn't great. I've still got to return your jacket. So I go, shit, I got to go and buy it now for $150. I've just lost myself $50. So what happened? So using that as the example, what happened for this whole GameStop scenario was they were going to short GameStop shares. They'd been down to about $3, and so the hedge funds were betting that it was going to go down. And so they've gone, you beauty, we're going to make some money out of this. Our prediction is GameStop is going to go down. But someone in Reddit, if you've heard of Reddit, they're big forums where people get together and chat about things. Someone in Reddit said, you know what, screw this. Why don't we all go and buy shares in GameStop and send the value up? So like the jacket going up in value, all of a sudden all the shares went from literally $4 up to about $300.
Holy crap.
And what that meant was the hedge funds lost multiple millions of dollars because they were betting on it going down. They bought shares, they had to sell them back, and suddenly they're in a whole world of pain. And they went up 1,700% in value. Now, a lot of people made a lot of money, Don, because they said, you know what, they bought the shares at $3 and suddenly they're at $325. So it made multi-zillionaires overnight, and all the hedge funds lost billions of dollars. So that's basically what the whole GameStop thing is around. And now the Reddit group are going, you know what, let's hit a few other things. So silver was their next target, and the price of silver is now going up as well. So it's created this huge disruption in the financial industry. It's had an impact on the cryptocurrency. I know you've got some crypto, as do I. So there's been a flow-on effect of that. So it's been very interesting. And a couple of the apps that people use to buy their stuff from shut down the ability for people to buy Gamestop shares. So that's also created a lot of issues, because they're saying you shut it down because you were trying to protect the hedge funds, and you can't do that. That's illegal. You stopped us from buying. So there's now lawsuits left, right and centre. It's created an absolute mess. And I think there's going to be a lot more to play out. But the good news is if you're part of the Reddit group and you're getting some inside tips and you know what they're going to focus on next, you can make yourself a small fortune.
Well, tell you what, JT, we have our own bloody money whisperer that helps us and our cohort to make a small fortune. But that is very impressive, don't you think? The thought of it's close to inside trading as you can get without it being inside trading.
Yeah, well, there's actually a movie called The Big Short, which was based on the whole financial crash in the US, and this is pretty much what it was about. Right. So anyway, that was my geeky little section. It was, I thought it was quite interesting.
Your geeky shit stepped right up, JT. I'm liking that. Hey,
complex.
Tell me if you're in the old Reddit in the corner, right, and your hedge funds, usually the hedge funds are the big super mobs, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep, correct.
So there's a whole lot of old people hating the guts out of Reddit at the moment because their superannuation is just taking a massive nosedive. If big hedge funds are losing a shitload of cash, then what people are creating off their super later on in life is also taking a hit, meaning they're going to have less to live off.
Look, yes and no. I think typically your super funds are a lot more conservative, so they're not taking punts. Like they're not doing shorting and taking these huge risks on thinking they're going to make lots of money. It's normally, a reserve of the rich people that play with the shorting. So your everyday punter in terms of superannuation funds, I wouldn't expect to be that impacted by this. But it is sort of, a little bit of, the everyday punter just going, screw you. Here's how we can cost some people a lot of money that typically can afford it.
Well, good on them. We like it. We won't do that, of course. We'll just keep chipping away. Chip,
we will do. Now, big thanks to Miranda, one of our regular listeners. She's confirmed that there's 54 blocks in a Jenga box. Donnie?
Hey, knowing Miranda, she would not have guessed that. She bloody would have gone out to the shop, such a loyal listener. Remember, she had the best tradie, the best win of all time. She got those tradies. So were the JT, they were the bomb. That was our Miranda did that. So she's very, very meticulous. She would have counted how many? 54.
54. There you go. Now, Don, we said we're going to bring more discussion to the table, and I'm I'm holding my breath, and I'm about to say.
Excited. What have we got? What are we discussing?
Well, obviously there's been a lot of news today around Collingwood Football Club and about a racism report that was, it was leaked to the media. The report was actually done a couple of months ago, and it was leaked to the media. And Eddie Maguire, the president of the Collingwood Football Club, fronted up the media last night and said it was a fantastic day for the Collingwood Football Club and made a few comments that he probably would rather have his time again. But Donnie, are you up to date with the story? Do you know what's going on?
Well, I sort of am, JT. I'm only up to date with as much as I've taken from the bits and pieces. I did not watch Eddie's original, media conference where he come out and said it's a what did he say? It was a proud, historic day for the Collingwood Footy Club, I'm not exactly sure what those words were, but it was enough for people to go, oh, okay, this must be a bit of real ownership that he's about to take here, and he's going to stand up there hand on heart and lead the team in a direction and sort of beg for forgiveness and shine the light in the right direction. And from all accounts, the media press conference did not go that way, and they sort of duck shoved the issue. I did start looking at it because I've always concerned myself that the thing I want to be doing is being labelled something that I'm not. So racist, for example. We've spoke on this podcast about my black brother and, love him to pieces. He'll be a brother-in-law one day. But, and as far as I'm concerned, there's names. But this talk and discussion around systemic racism at the Collingwood Football Club, that, I don't know, JT, I've looked at it and I thought it's an interesting point because really now there's a report, which is great, because up until then, up until somebody's actually gone and dived into all the issues, you really only got one person or two people's views on things. And every now and then you get someone who's just a bit bloody sooky, and all of a sudden they're the loudest voice, and so they get the most attention. And then you've got to really question, what is the club racist, or is this just someone who's got a gripe, and that's the flag they're going to fly for the rest of their life? And I've seen it in the world of people with disabilities. They've got a disability and they want the whole world to stop for them, and they believe the world owes them something. I call bullshit on that. The world owes nobody anything. However, along the way, people have done some things that are bloody terrible, and there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with putting up your hand and saying, hey, we've made some mistakes and we'll do what we can to correct it. So it's interesting when somebody continues to go. What I found a bit short with the report is, of course, we're talking about Harry O and Hereta Bumba. I'm probably going to stuff that name. I've never been good at pronouncing his name.
That's close enough.
So
Yep.
respectfully, we know who we're talking about. What I found interesting is he wasn't involved in the actual in the report.
He chose not. He chose not to. Yeah.
Yeah, and that I just find that really interesting when there's an opportunity to really stand up and not just pot from the sideline because you've got a bit of skin in the game or had some skin in the game, but when you actually want to be a part of the solution, then that to me says that, mate, it's your turn to hop on the train, and every now and then you're going to have to drive the sucker. And not being involved in the biggest report that Collingwood's been involved in said to me, I think you're probably happy to sit in the side and shit stir and continue to have your voice heard because you are the minority group in this situation. And so that for me discredits it a little bit, or discredits his the weight of his argument. It doesn't discredit the report that's been done independently, but I would hold that a lot and his voice a lot more fondly had I have known he was involved in it, as opposed to not being involved in it.
Do you think the reason he's not involved in it? I mean, I'm just looking at the dates. Last October, launched legal action in the Supreme Court of Victoria against Collingwood and the AFL, claiming they didn't provide a safe working environment. He's been quite public about the name that he was often referred to around the club, which he felt was a racist comment or a racist nickname, I should say, and he just felt that nothing was done about it by the club. Do you think, you've been around sport a long period of time, a lot longer than I have around professional sport. There's often some pretty ordinary nicknames that go around clubs. And does that mean they're racist? And I think it's on public record chimp was what he was referred to. And is that, do you think people that were using that were racist, or it was just, that's your nickname, no different to plugger or, something like that?
Well, I tell you what, JT, I'm going to throw this one in you. I cannot tell you whether I think where that nickname come from, or whether it had malice attached to it. What I can tell you, if you think that is going to stir your blood, and there's definitely some some history and some issues that people are dealing with. But think for a minute about Paralympics, JT. Right, we talk about names within clubs. Right, it was common for us to find nicknames for our teammates. And so we had one bloke who had one arm shorter than the other. And so his nickname was Clock. And, leg amputees often get Eileen or Skip, so the guys no arms, no legs in the swimming, we call them Bob. Like, yep. So I'm telling you, come at me with a name and I straight away think my mum, and how many times I heard growing up from her, sticks and stones will break your bones, names will never hurt you. Somehow, JT, we've, as a society, changed the rules to that and said, no, actually, now everything can hurt you. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for some piss taking, but going into a footy club and suggesting that they're going to be straight-laced and calling you by your birth certificate name, mate, I'd suggest you're dreaming. Are they calling you a name because for all we know, he might have been an absolute bloody he might have done a skit. We don't know, JT, why that nickname is about. And if he's right and it has come from a racist connotation, you know what? Someone probably needs to be educated. But I would have thought, honestly, in the time that he was at the club, and he wasn't there just for 5 minutes, he was there for a few years, I would have thought that he'd have opportunity, Indigenous rounds and other opportunities to stand up and say, hey, guys, we need to draw a line in the sand here. This is bloody deeply disrespectful. It hurts me to be called this all the time. And you know what? If we continue it, I'll let you know it's not a joke. But I don't know, JT, when you're starting to drop legal action, and of course we know now that he lives in the States, and well, we've just seen the Black Lives Matter unfold last year and everything else. So I don't know. I think also too, JT, there are flogs within the community that will jump and scream about anything you say. And I'm not convinced. Because I'm not in the inner sanctum. I haven't seen it. But when I hear that Collingwood supporters are racist, well, I call bullshit on that. My wife, my daughter, Collingwood supporter, my dad's a Collingwood supporter, mate. They're not racist people. And so I get a bit like, yeah, that's a big brush, and you're trying to make something out of it and tar everyone. And I don't think that's fair. Are there racists out there that go for Collingwood? Bloody oath there are. They also some that go for Hawthorn and Fitzroy and Bulldogs and bloody Brisbane. So
I don't think it was necessarily aimed at the fans. I think it was saying at the club there is a culture of that stuff not being called out. And to take your point, if Heredia had raised the issue, I think he took malice at the fact that no one else raised it on his behalf. You know, if you're the president of the club and you hear a player referred to as chimp, you know, you probably should be calling out saying, hang on, boys, that could be, may not be appropriate around here. And, you know, we're in the high public profile, we should be leading by example, et cetera, et cetera. And yet clearly that went on for years and it wasn't addressed. So is that an issue in itself at a cultural level?
Well, see, the issue I have there, JT, is that it has to be brought to somebody. How on earth do you know that I'm offended by something if I never let you know that? So saying that I think that you should support me without actually knowing what I think is a bit bloody far-fetched, don't you reckon?
Well, yes, but, I mean, let's not forget what happened with Adam Goodes, you know, around a similar time. In fact, it was after the Adam Goodes incident, and that was on the basis of him being called an ape, I think, from memory, where he took offence. And I think it was actually Eddie Maguire that actually used that word, right, from memory, that caused the outrage. So you would think that a word ape and chimp aren't too far apart. You would think a little bit of common sense to go, oh, shit, we could be just, it may not be okay. Maybe I should just check in and see if that's okay. But the fact that it wasn't addressed, I can kind of understand where he's coming from. I agree with you that, yeah, no one's a mind reader. But, you know, at a cultural level where you expect senior leaders of the club to say, you know, this isn't just, you know, the Caulfield Bears where, you know, I played my career and maybe it's a different standard. This is in a public stage, on a very public stage, one of the biggest clubs in the country. You would have thought someone, whether it was Eddie Maguire, it's not necessarily Eddie's responsibility, but the coach, the footy manager, there's about a zillion roles down at a footy club. Someone should have said, hang on a minute.
And that's a bloody good point. I mean, that's the difference between a real high-performing team, isn't it? That people aren't afraid to speak out and contribute. And that's a great point, Linda. You know, I think he felt he wasn't supported when he did bring it up. And if that's the case and he did bring it up and it wasn't supported, then he's got a bloody argument to be had. There's no question about that. So I think, you know what, the really good thing about this is everybody is doing exactly what we're doing now, JT, which is having a conversation about it. And the more conversations we have about racism, about the effects of what we think is insignificant and how it affects people. The first time I got stuck into the bloody naming of the Chicos or whatever it was, you know, I had some people give me some stuff and I just go, shit, I actually didn't know that, or I wasn't thinking, like my head wasn't in that space. So I had the chance to grow there as well. So I think if we didn't have the conversation, then I'd be stuck with my own views. And sometimes that's a scary thing, is when we're only holding on to our own views. And if Eddie is in a situation, I'm pretty sure it's fair to say that there'd be few people around the club that would feel comfortable to walk up and give Eddie, a receipt for his behaviour. I reckon they'd be feeling like their time is short-lived to do that. And so that sometimes can be a bit of an issue as well if you sort of start getting out, too far ahead of the pack. In our country, we call it the tall poppy syndrome, and people just line up to knock you down. So there's no doubt there's an argument there. Is it going to go to court and be a big case and payout and all that sort of stuff? You know what? The win here is if people evolve to the next step and to get closer to being less racist, if it's such a, if that's such a thing. Will we ever wipe it out? I'm not convinced. Well,
there's no doubt there's a lot more to play out, so we'll keep it across. I think we've managed to avoid going too far in either direction, Donnie. So, I was a bit nervous that whole segment. So let's get on to something a little bit more entertaining, shall we? It's time for TikTok. Now, I said each week I'd bring you a couple of funny videos from TikTok. Now, as I've also said...
Stop, JT, stop.
Hello.
All right, so this is what happened, right? Last night I was knackered. I was up and I was just getting my gig ready and preparing. And Boof sent me, I said, I've got to do some research for the show because, as you know...
That'll be a first, okay.
I haven't done it here, right? And so I said, buddy, there'll be some TikTok stuff. And I thought... Boof sent me a TikTok. I shit you not. 4 hours later, my eyes are hanging down in my chin, and I'm still looking at fucking TikTok and trying to. I thought, you get stuff, JT, you bastard.
It's very addictive, isn't it?
Don't do it. If you're not on it, don't do it. That shit, it's easy to get sucked in.
Well,
what do you got for us?
Well, I think there's a couple of things I can take away from that comment. One is, you're right, it is very addictive and you just lose hours when you're on TikTok. The second is, despite the fact you spent 4 hours on TikTok, you still didn't send me one video for the show.
Oh no, I was laughing at it.
Not one.
That'll be good. And then I just moved to the next one and forgot.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'll stack them up. I never went back.
Awesome. Mate. That's all right. Well, I thought I'll just bring you a couple because a lot of them have music, and again, for copyright issues, we can't use the music. So I've sort of got to delicately find ones with no music. But I kind of found this one entertaining. I think anyone who owns a pet, particularly a dog, might find this one quite entertaining.
I mean, I did want to go get some lunch. I'm a little hungry. But, if you want to stay here, that's fine. You've got, you do you. Don't worry about me. It's fine. I don't need to eat. As long as you're okay and your needs are met. You can't just keep doing that to shut me up. This is a true...
Love how dogs always just take the lead on everything. So just put her right back in a box.
What is about that, JT? That's a beautiful... I like that. Well played. Good find, JT.
Now, Donnie, have you ever done the big... I mean, obviously you competed on the world stage, and I imagine the adrenaline would be pumping when you're at the starting line and ready for the race, big crowds there. But have you done some wild stuff like the bungee jumping and, parachuting and that sort of stuff?
I did, JT. I did a gig for a big multinational, and part of the conference was in New Zealand, and I went over to New Zealand. Of course, New Zealand are famous for their bungee jumping.
They are,
and
yes.
JT, I get scared of heights, right? But I have a bit of FOMO, mate, a bit of fear of missing out, and I don't like to bloody not do shit. So I just said to the guy who was beside me, he said, I said, what about we do this, mate? And he goes, nah. And he had a perfect out. He goes, listen, it's expensive and I haven't got it on me. And me being the dick that I am, I said, she'll be right, I'll pay for it and we'll both do it. So, and he took me up on it. So I have bungee, JT. What did you find? You would have found something.
Oh, well, I found a new little adrenaline thing, Donnie. So I'm going to show you this, and I want you to watch it and just let me know if you reckon you'd be keen to have a crack.
Righto.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya!
Oh, fuck no. Holy shit.
What do you reckon, Donnie? We throw you there on the old human slingshot?
Oh, I reckon I'd like to try that with my mother-in-law first, JT.
Without the parachute?
No, I wouldn't. I love her. Holy shit. I thought it was just that was just a slingshot over onto a nice little, cushion.
That is
it's like,
full on adrenaline, isn't it? I mean, you're waiting for the parachute to open as well. That is, yeah.
Yeah. That has not got my name on that. All Miranda's, no bloody siree. That is not for me. Oh, what about you, JT? Would you do it?
Mate, I'd have
Books
a crack.
out.
Yep, I'd have a
Would
crack.
you?
Yeah, I love all that stuff. Definitely have a crack.
That's any wonder your next stuff. That's
Probably wouldn't have a
That
crack at the
would-
moment, it's fair to say. But no, if I was, when in Rome, why not? I'd have a go. Looks like the vote so far is I'm not going to have to line up for long because none of our listeners are going to have a crack here.
They're out, mate. There's not a person who's keen on that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, the other thing we like bringing is because TikTok's actually got lots of stuff. So I thought what we'd do is use one of the TikToks to share one of our life hacks for this week, Don. Now, I'm not sure why, Don, but a lot of the life hacks that we seem to be bringing are always talking about eggs. I don't know why that's happened. And, thanks, Boof.
We like bloody eggs,
I'm a
JT,
bit
that's
nuts,
why.
Boof. So I found this one, and you've got to excuse if there's little kids listening, just close your ears. There's a couple of swear words. There's a couple of swear words in here, but nothing graphic, but just a couple of swear words.
Time to do your teeth.
But,
Time to teeth, kids.
Here we go.
Apparently, if you drop an egg into a pan, it cracks perfectly.
Hang on a fucking minute. Hang on a fucking minute.
Is this at my house? If you don't mind.
There we go. Video evidence of that one actually working, Don. So if anyone's going to have a crack at that, let us know next week if it worked. But, the video...
JT, I tell you what, for a minute there, I had to lost that fridge because the language could have easily have been my eldest when she would have discovered that. Now, speaking of that, JT, I did get some feedback from one of our furry friends out there in Listener World, and I tell you what, I didn't mind it. This is it, JT. I haven't mentioned this to you.
Okay,
so
here we go.
I'm just going to tell you now. There's a show on the telly called the Goggle Box.
I love Gogglebox. Yeah, great show.
JT, what about this? A couple of our listeners have said they would be willing to do Gogglebox style for some of our stories, and then we can incorporate that into our show. So potentially a segment of Goggle Boxes. What do you reckon?
I love it. I love it. So whoever those people are, bring it on. Let's do it. I'd love to show it next week. So if you want to try out one of our life hacks and tell us how we've gone, if it's bullshit, it worked well, we'll play it next week. How's that?
Well, and the other thing, JT, is we need them to be watching, like a camera on them watching us.
Yep.
And
While
when
we're talking
we
about
do, then we're just going to play their reaction to whatever we're showing.
Done. If you guys know what to do, just watch our video. It's on YouTube. Of course, you can watch us live on YouTube now as well. This is streaming, but you can also watch it on replay, I should say. And, of course, Facebook. So, love it. Good idea, Donnie. We'll bring that in next week. Now, Don, it is time. It is time for, something a little kind of different.
Dad joke of the week.
So, JT, it's probably good that the kids are out at milking.
No, you know what? I think the kids are relatively safe for this one, Don. But I've done something a little bit different this week.
Well done, JT.
Well, Donnie, what I do for a living is I help people often outsource some of their work, particularly in call centre work or virtual assistants and that sort of stuff. So I thought, well, you know what? Practice what you preach. Why do I need to be the one telling the joke each week?
Oh, you've gone, buddy, and recruited some joke tellers.
So
where'd you get them?
May have borrowed one off TikTok, Don.
Look at you. I'm not the only sucker that spent 4 hours on there last night, am I?
Well, I call it research, Don. That's my excuse now. So, it's not for my own. It's not for me. It's for the fans. So I'm going to I'm outsourcing the dad joke this week to TikTok. Here we go.
You're red hot.
A woman goes to the doctor, worried about her husband's temper. The doctor asks, "What's the problem?" The woman says, "I don't know what to do. Every day my husband seems to lose his temper for no reason. It scares me." The doctor says, "I have a cure for that. Every time your husband seems to lose his temper, get a glass of water and start swishing it. Swish and swish, but don't swallow it until he either calms down or leaves the room. 2 weeks later, the woman comes back to the doctor looking fresh and reborn. The woman says, "Doctor, that was brilliant. Every time my husband started losing it, I would swish the water. I swished and I swished, and he would calm right down. But how does a glass of water do that?" The doctor says, "The water itself does nothing. It's keeping your mouth shut that does the trick."
Oh, good one, JT. Good one. That's very. I can see why you didn't tell that. That's,
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I didn't say it. Hey,
that's JT. That's very good. Oh, you're very clever. That's good.
I'm learning. I'm a slow learner sometimes, but I'm learning.
Dickhead of the week.
You suck.
Now we sometimes we like to highlight a dickhead of the week, and I've got to sometimes, yeah. So I thought this week, bugger it, I'm going it, and I'm going politics. Dickhead of the week goes to the Victorian government. Don,
Reckon who took it off them? They've had it from about the last year and a half, haven't they?
They've been a strong.
Right, okay, what they get it for this
they've been a strong contender. Well, you know how we had the old slight disaster that killed 800 Victorians with the hotel quarantine debacle. And we kind of got it a little bit wrong. No, it's fact. And we kind of got it a little bit wrong. And so what they did is they went and recruited a whole bunch of staff because, we obviously need to do it properly. And a lot of ex-Qantas employees were made redundant, got opportunities, etc. So they got all these...
About that early, Jake.
We did. Now, they got all these standby quarantine staff, not getting paid over $2,000 a week. To work in hotel quarantine. Now, when they're working, it literally involved them sitting on the floor of the hotel ward and making sure no one left. It wasn't a tough gig, it's fair to say.
Hang on, Jake. Woo. Don't forget, some of those people had to have sex with some of the people.
Well, that not even allegedly, that did happen as well, yes. So anyway, they were getting paid over $2,000 a week to do this. I don't think that's over $100,000 a year. That's reasonable coin for not really doing a hell of a lot, I wouldn't have thought.
JT, yep.
Well, it turns out, Don, that between July and December last year, there was no international arrivals in Victoria.
Yeah, well, they would have just stood them down. No big deal.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We just kept paying them. They were on full pay, and they were just sitting at home for 5 months.
Doing what?
Whatever they liked. They were just sitting at home. They weren't working.
Turn it up. That's not true.
Yep. 5 months.
No one is that stupid. 5 months, like a week or two before you iron shit out. But, oh no.
Yep, five months. So taxpayers in Victoria, it cost over $80 million in salaries for people that never even worked a day. Just to have them on standby.
Oh, JT, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Dickhead.
That's a tough one.
Dickhead of the week, dickhead of the year. So that's the Victorian government. Now, I've also got a late nomination, Don, and this is literally breaking news. And I have to be very, very, very careful. The lawyers are going to be listening to this. So I'm going to be
circling.
I'm going to be very,
what do you got?
very
we like
careful.
When you're nearly in this shit.
Now, Don,
because it's usually me.
There's two things that we have a lot in common about. The two things you don't like, Don. What are they?
Well, abuse to women and children, JT.
Right. You know Andrew O'Keefe?
Andrew O'Keefe. Is that Deal or No Deal?
Yeah, that's him. He was on the Chase and he's been on Deal or Deal. He's done a lot of work. He's a Channel 7 star. Sorry, I should say former Channel 7 star. Because he was charged with an alleged domestic assault on his partner, and as a result, his 17-year relationship with Channel 7 is no longer, and the matter is now before the courts. So he is due to face court on Thursday. He's been charged with assault on his partner. I won't read out the what he actually did, but it is available publicly, and so. It would appear he's in a bit of hot water. Now, I'd have to be very careful again legally and say alleged. He has been charged. He's alleged for domestic assault on his partner with common assault. He has released a statement saying he will be contesting the charges, and of course, I'm just trying to think if there's actually a quote. To be fair, not sure if I can actually find it, but he has absolutely said he'll be challenging the charge, etc. But has been charged with it, so I'm going early and saying Dickhead of the week, Donnie.
Well, that's all we can do, JT. I mean, I must admit that guy did hand me over a cheque worth about $22.5 when I went on Deal or No Deal. So I had a lot of respect for the fact that he is as clever as he is, but clearly fucking stupid. Because if you're getting charged with assault of your partner, then in my opinion, you have every right to defend yourself. But geez, it's a long way to come back, because it's not, as I said on many occasions, JT, the police haven't got time to put down a whole lot of paperwork and charges to people that they don't think have got a case to answer for. So I like the fact that he's going to contest it, because he should, because I'd like to think that he didn't do it. But, oh, God, that's yucky. It's just shit, JT. I'm uncomfortable with it. I hate it with a passion.
2008, there was video footage of him collapsing outside a gutter at a Melbourne nightclub. But in 2017, he was awarded a Medal of the Order of Australia for his service to television and charity work. So it'll be interesting to see if those charges are upheld, what happens to that Medal Order of Australia, because anyone that lays a hand on a woman does not deserve a medal nor oxygen.
No, that's true, JT. But as I said, let's get that charge all finalised first before we hang, draw and quarter him. And as for getting pissed outside of a nightclub,
we've all been there.
Hello.
Very, very true. Now onto an absolute cracker of a clip. I love bringing the media clips each week, and well, Donnie, this is a good one. Now, I did show a clip, I think it was last week or the week before, that, when someone walked in the background and the dad went off his nut at the kid. Yes. And we did sort of reveal afterwards that was actually a bit of a setup. He was a script writer for BBC and did a great job. So the clip I'm going to show you now has that kind of feel about it, but I can 100% confirm that it was real, and 3 producers were fired after this happened.
Okay, JT, just before you show this one, on the other one,
Mm-hmm.
the door, and he should have simply made that unavoidable or
Mm-hmm.
avoidable if he had a locket.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's get on with this clip, JT. What have you got?
Again, this is actually real, and it happened. Now, if you're listening to audio, you'll still get the joke. If you are watching it live on video or on replay on video, you'll just get a little bit extra. Here we go.
Let's go.
The coroner is still trying to determine the cause of death and whether she was already dead when the truck hit her. We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday.
Shouldn't laugh at a very tragic incident, but that is seriously one of the funniest clips I've ever seen.
I heard a thing, JT. I did hear a thing on the on the airport announcements, and they would get people to go up there, and it was many years ago. And they'd give them the names for them to announce. You see, and that was quite funny how that would happen. But he's bloody hilarious. As soon as you see the first one, you go, hang on a minute, there's something in this. So what happened? A couple of people got fired, JT.
Yeah, the 3 veteran producers actually got fired for that. And a couple of other people decided that it was in their best interest to resign after it as well. So it claimed a few scalps, but that was in 2013, and you still watch it and it is still gold. So
that's the thing with the classic, JT. They're timeless. They transcend a generation. They're funny shit, mate.
That's exactly right. Now for those of you who there was a little bit of a crack on some audio at one point, so I did just want to repeat for the purposes of everyone that was a little bit maybe didn't quite hear it. Lock it. Just want to say the word lock it, because the audio just happened to break up just as you were saying a particular word called lock it, Don. So
around the door, I was trying to suggest in a subtle way, JT, where there was a door and he just happened to lock it. then it wouldn't have been a problem. But you was too bloody clever for me, JT.
Oh no, it was good. It was just the audio just crackled at the wrong time, I think. So anyway, now Don, that means I've got a really responsible job to do, like loading up the wheel. And unlike what I did last week and leave the camera on myself, this time I'm going to put it all on you, and you can tell us about the final fling, Donnie. So let me play your little stinger, and then and away you go.
Yes, play my stinger. Righto, JT. Now this, I know that you're probably not listening because you're focused on doing the name.
I'm still listening.
Wheel of Fortune. Oh, you're there still. Excellent. But let me tell you, mate, I've been thinking about this, right? And I did a bit of research. Funny enough, JT, from time to time, I do a tiny bit of research. And it was around, I'm always about, like, I'm very fortunate. I wake up and I'm bloody giddy up, mate. Every day I'm pumped to wake up and get another crack at it. And I thought about it. I thought, well, I understand that I'm a bit unique in that space, and not everybody has the good fortune to wake up and optimistically go to, this is a good world we're living in, I'm going to make the most of this day. However, I did think that there must be more to it. Why are some people down often, and what is it that can bring someone down? And so this final fling this week is for the people that are typically up and about, but find themselves being brought down because of a partner. Now, it's difficult to say this, and I'm putting it out there on notice today. Boof does not do this to me, which is a good thing. However, it happens, and it is your partner that brings you down. And so I want you to take it upon yourself. If you're one of these people that's happy and you see your partner and they're a bit miserable often, and they're bringing you down, before you respond and try and solve the problems for your partner, just take a moment. Take a moment to listen and think about the impact that it's having on you straight away when you hear this anger or anxiety or frustration that your partner's experiencing. You don't have to own it. It doesn't have to become yours, and you don't have to solve the problem. So that's really, really important. And the reason it's important is because there's actually been some research done here that says that when people do that, when people make every effort to sort the problems out, all the problems of the world, often they end up owning them or taking them on, and they're not theirs, and it brings them down. So JT, my advice this week is to give yourself permission to be happy, even if your partner isn't. Now, you don't have to go and have a big conversation with your partner about this. However, it's probably not a bad idea to, at some stage, not mid when they're pissed off, but at some point, be willing to share your views about how their actions and reactions affect you. So, there you go.
Or just give them a glass of water, Don.
The answer was right there. JT, had I have known you were going that glass of water one, I would have picked a different final fling for this week, because that's pretty bloody good. That's much better than mine.
Awesome. Now we've loaded up the wheel, Donnie. She's good to go.
Oh, is it? How many got in, JT? Oh, there was a few there too.
There's a few spinning around that we'll be sharing shortly. Now, I should say we really need your help in spreading the word on this show. So when you see us post when the next show's coming up, please just hit that share button. Tell everyone about it. I am building our new website as we speak, which we hope will give us a bit of a boost. But obviously a huge amount of work goes into the show, and we love that you guys tune in every week. But we've just got to try and widen the audience a little bit as well. So we need your help.
And I must admit, JT, it's a huge bloody feel good for you and I when names pop up there and they, we comment. There was one from Linda before, and I love that. I love seeing, the Bens and the Lins and the Brionis, and it's awesome when the Evans and the Petes, they jump up there, and it makes our show, makes it so much bloody better for us. But I didn't realise, JT, that it's as simple. People could be helping us by simply just sharing when we post because we can't share in the group, can we? Because that's all just for the group.
That's right. Anything you
page, right?
That's right. Anything you say in the group, the Giddy Up group stays within the group, and no one would ever see it. But you can share or comment on the page, and others, your friends and family, etc., will see it. So the key is really jumping on the Giddy Up podcast page and just sharing it out. So Awesome. All right, mate. Well,
just write a post and tag us, JT.
Also
do a
works.
egg or do a some bloody TikTok. Tag us, mate, and we'll share it as well. That's
well, that's exactly right. And we did want to put the shout out. We do need a bit of a chop out with helping on getting some of the promotional content out there. So if you've got someone in your family or in your network who is looking for a bit of experience in social media, I'm happy to show them the reins and show them what to do. But we just don't have enough hours sometimes. So if someone's looking at learning, there's an opportunity out there.
JT, one other thing. This week, Money Whisperer.
Oh, forgot the bloody Money Whisperer.
No, we didn't forget, JT. I asked you to hold off on this. And the reason I asked you to hold off is because, excuse me, I reckon we should do a feature interview with the Money Whisperer. What do you reckon?
Is he actually going to reveal who he is?
No. We'll cut. Like, he can't be. He's like a dentist, mate. He can't be bloody displayed to the world.
Is there something wrong with his head?
There's a lot wrong with his head, but he's our money whisperer, though. So no, trust me, the big banks hate him. Like, he makes too much money. Like, this guy is seriously, he's big time. So, but an interview, we just give him a different identity.
Right. Okay. I'm up for it. It sounds very exciting.
I tell you not. I shit you not. He stumbled across something this week, and he's told me about it. And I was weak at the knees thinking, I can't bloody wait to share this with our listeners. So we need a feature interview. I told him.
All right, sounds good. We'll bring him on. Now, I do want to say Wolf does give us a bit of a hand, but Don, you're just not helping out your wife. So, and Dale, well, he's just labelled you a tight ass. So,
jeez, you're a lot of red hot.
It's easy to take a pot shot on the keyboard warriors, mate. They're out to get you.
Fair point too, stuff. And take them off that wheel.
All right, well, it is time for the wheel. So thanks to our awesome sponsors at tradie.com. The winner of this will get a $100 voucher to spend on anything they like on the tradie store. They've got lots of stuff. They've got heaps of stuff.
Some bloody good gear there too, JT.
So without further ado, good luck.
Push it. Sarah M, Pete B, there's some, here we go. This is exciting. It's one of my favourite bits. Who we got?
Dun, dun, dun. I reckon it's staying right there. Congratulations to Ben O'Connor, we will say. Congratulations, Ben. You've won yourself a $100 voucher, mate. Well done. We'll be in contact to get all your details, and happy days, mate. Enjoy your spending on the tradie.com website. So, Donnie...
I'll tell you what, that's a big win, mate. That's excellent. Well done, Benny.
Well done. Now, we didn't give people a lot of notice about tonight's show, and we'll probably be about the same next week with Donnie doing a fair bit of travel at the moment. We're hoping we'll be back on next Wednesday night. We are trying to lock it in every Wednesday, but unfortunately life gets in the way sometimes. But at this stage, we will be back on air next Wednesday. So thank you, everyone, for listening. We always love having you on board. And Donnie, any famous last words, Donnie?
This week, be very careful. Anything to do with racism. It's a hot topic. Just talk about eggs. It's a lot safer this week.
It is, exactly right. Choose your topics. Looking forward to next week's show, Don. We've got a few things happening already that we've spoken about. So, Money Whisperer, we've got, what's the other one? Goggle Box as well. That's exciting. So, there we go. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now. Okay, Donnie, that is the end of the podcast version, but of course we have the extended version for everyone who's watching on video.
Where you push record, stop.
Stop.
So people still up. It's bloody late, JT.
Good on you guys. We appreciate you staying with us.
My go to bed alarm went off halfway through that show.
It is a little bit
JT,
late.
how good are these people? And I know there's a lot of people, and we love it that they've hung in there. I want to just a quick shout out. I didn't do it on the podcast because people listen at different times, but Lockett tonight, that word is because my mum and dad buried their best friend today, or one of their best friends, Johnny Lockett. Known him, they met Carmel and John when I was a baby, actually, on a family holiday. Known him for 45 years, my parents, and unfortunately John had a heart attack last week, and his funeral was today. So John Lockett, hence the Lockett was our code word for tonight. So they'll be in Adelaide. They'll be coming home the next day or two. So safe travels, parents, and for anyone who's lost a loved one, you know what? It's a tough time. There's no question about that. And my advice is to put your arms around. Fuck COVID. Put your arms around the people that are close to you, because it makes a difference.
Absolutely, Don. Well said. Condolences to everyone there at the family. Now, Donnie, what was I going to say? The discussion tonight, we obviously discussed a little bit about racism tonight. And I just wanted to put it out there to our listeners. If there's a topic that you want us to tackle, feel free to send it in and we will talk about whatever topic that you send in. We will give anything a crack. We've often got some interesting opinions and they're not normally the same.
Send it in early enough so we can research it, because if it's shit I've got no idea about, I really want to make sure I look it up first. But I'll tell you what, JT, what would really be good as well is some feedback. I don't mind. Did we sit on the fence when we were talking about Harry O tonight? Did we give enough? Like, that was my views. But, I would love it if people, feel free to write to me, write to JT, to Giddy Up, it's okay, whatever it is. Because your feedback, good, bad, or otherwise, that's how we learn and find out if we're on the money or not. So
100%, as well as the time slot. I know Ev asked if it's going to be 8 or 9. We're incredibly flexible. So you tell us what you want. We're happy to move with it. So anyway, enough of us crapping on. Donnie, you got a big day tomorrow, so good luck with.
Mate, thanks. I'm a bit pumped for that. Now, are you? I know, JT. I've got SLT, a senior leadership meeting in the morning, and then straight into a gig, and then bang on a flight back up to Newcastle for a function on Thursday. So it's bloody exciting. A lot of flights being cancelled and shit. So it's a fair bit of juggling, but it all comes together. Now, mate, tell me, have you got gigs? What are you up to?
No. No, nothing. We got one course running this week online, and then I'm in Adelaide doing some consulting for a big car brand over in Adelaide for about 3 or 4 days, and then
just a bloody local one. There's none of them left.
Well, that's very true, and then just won a gig today actually for some more consulting up in Sydney. So looking forward to getting on the road a little bit, getting out of Victoria. It's a bit exciting. I've been stuck here for a while. I used to travel around doing a lot of consulting and training, so it's been a while since I've actually physically been there. So looking forward to it.
All right, mate. Well, safe travels, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And of course, to the crew, good night. Sleep tight.
See you guys. Good night. Bye.